Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Shri Gyanmanjari Vidyapeeth for the students of Standard 10 in which we are learning the subject of English. Students, from the previous lecture we started with another chapter from the book First Flight, chapter number 10. Name of the chapter is The Sermon of Benares. Let's take a quick recap of what we learned in this chapter. Chapter number 10 of First Flight. Name of the chapter is The Sermon at Benares. It's written by Betty Renshaw in her quite a big article known as Values and Voices. Right? Values and Voices. Here we are going to learn about the first sermon of Lord Gautam Buddha, which was given at Benares. Benares, ancient temple town, today known as Varanasi. Same place. Ancient time it was a hub of all the religious activities and considered quite auspicious and a sacred place. And the dip at the holy Ganges over here is considered to be taking away all the sins that the person has done, and according to the belief, taking a dip in the holy Ganges, especially at the ghats of Benares, is relieves you of all the sins and makes you pure, holy, sacred. So that's belief, and it is here at this place that Lord Gautam Buddha gave his first sermon. What is the sermon that we learned in the previous lecture? Sermon is a religious speech which is given by the religious leaders, the religious followers, uh, learned people of that religion. Yes, that's called a sermon. Sermon is common for all the religions because in all the religions, the religious leaders, the followers, they preach and teach, and that is called the sermon, where they tell the good things about the religion, yes, their viewpoint of that religion, and try to give some truth of what we are doing in this world is what is God, and gives answer to all those questions which remained in the minds of people, and they, were, they didn't have any place to vent out. So these are the sermons that are delivered by quite highly educated people in the field of uh, maybe it's education or even religion. So uh, Lord Gautam Buddha, he was born as a prince and born and brought up as a prince in the palace, and he did not ever face sorrow, sadness, sickness, because quite a rich, wealthy royalty, the king, he always assures that all the family members, the complete royalty, is well fed, well kept, and get everything in life because of the riches and the wealth that the king has. And he grew up to 12 years of age, and then he was sent for 4 years to learn all the religious scriptures, Hindu religious scriptures. For 4 years, the gurus taught him, and then he returned back to get wedded to a princess, and they lived happily for 10 years, and they even had a son. But while going to hunting outside the peripherals of, or the perimeter of the palace, there he saw quite odd things which he had never seen in his life. First, he saw a sick man, then an old man, and then a death procession was going on, is where a dead person was being taken to the cremating ground for the last rites to be performed. And then he saw a monk who was begging. All this thing moved him because till now he had never seen suffering, and He thought everybody was happy like him, everybody was wealthy like him, and did not have any unhappiness in life, no suffering, because he didn't know what suffering was. Because the father, the king, never allowed any sorrowness or sadness or suffering to enter the gates of the palaces. All those things were shut off. And what the royal family got was always pleasantries, always the rich things, always the good things, happiness. So the prince was quite touched by seeing these four things, and he decided to get answers, right? And he started roaming around and wanted to get an idea what the life actually is, but he still didn't get any answers to that. So he came under a tree and sat over there and vowed that I'll not stand up from here until I get true knowledge, right? Enlightenment. Enlightenment means true knowledge. He gets answers to his questions. That is enlightenment, right? So he sat under the tree. After 7 days, enlightenment came, and the tree came to be known as Bodhi tree. We have a Bodhi temple also, right? And then he became Lord Buddha. Lord Buddha gave his first sermon at Benares, and an incident happened over there where a young woman lost her only child, her only son, and she was not ready to accept that the child is dead. So, Kisa Gautame, the young woman, went from door to door, person to person, asking for some good doctor or to give her some medicine and to cure her son. But people looked at the dead son and realized that the son is already dead and you cannot do anything about it, until she met a uh, quite a wise guy. And the wise person told him that if you want cure for your person, you got to take him to Lord Buddha. So the young woman prayed to Lord Buddha when she confronted him and asked to cure his child, her child. And Lord Buddha understood what the matter was, that the young woman, the young girl, was not able to accept that the son is dead. She wanted him to again be cured, thinking he's just unconscious and can revive again, come back to consciousness, and she can embrace her son once more, and both of them can live happily. But that is not going to happen. Lord Buddha instantly knew that, looking at the dead son. But now, how to make the young girl realize that the dead is dead? Yes, you cannot do anything about it. And to make her understand that thing, Lord Buddha said, okay, I'll cure your son, but I need a handful of mustard seeds. Yes, the lady was overjoyed, right? Then, yes, my son can be cured. And what that great teacher, what that great man wants is just one handful of mustard seeds. I'll get it. I'll go to any nearby house. I'll get a mustard seed. But then comes the condition of Lord Buddha, that you should get mustard seed from that house where there has been never any death. Uncle, auntie, mother, sister, grandfather, grandmother, brother, sister. Yes, nobody should have died in that family. She didn't properly listen to the condition that was told her, because she was in a state of excitement that she will get her son back, right? So she rushed to get a handful of mustard seed. Each and every door, people looking at her just were ready to help her and give her a handful of mustard seeds. But when she told the condition that nobody should have died in your house, people were held back. No, somebody died, not in that house, but in their family. Somebody died, and because it happens when people are born, people, when they become of age, they'll die. So people realized and said, no, we cannot help you because somebody has died in our family. One even said that then in our family, the living are only few, but the dead are many. Because on father's side, mother's side, whole of the family tree, above them, they all died, right? So they are the only ones alive and they are quite few. Please don't remind us. So that is where we stopped. Now, Let us go ahead. Kissa Gautami became weary and hopeless and sat down at the wayside watching the lights of the city as they flickered up and down and were extinguished again. So, Kissa Gautami, this means extinguished again, flickering and all that. It means from morning till night, she kept on wandering. She visited each and every house in that city, and now she was exhausted, seated at one place, and now the evening was almost over, and the night had come, and people lighted lamps inside their house, outside their house to give light. Street lights were on, right? And she saw those lights flickering. She was weary. Weary means tired, hopeless, no hope. As they flickered up, extinguished again. And even now it was the sleeping time for the people, yes, to go to bed. So they extinguished the lights and went to bed. That also she saw. No, she didn't know what to do. At last the darkness of the night reigned everywhere. Now it was completely dark because almost in each and every house the lights had extinguished and people had gone to sleep. Even outside the house, yes, either the lamp is blown away, the flame is blown away by the wind, or the oil is over, yes, exhausted, and the uh, wick simply burns out, and the lamp extinguishes. So there is darkness reigning everywhere, raining, ruling everywhere. Reigned everywhere, it's common. And she considered the fate of men, that their lives flicker up and are extinguished again. So this is the brittle truth, the sour truth, that she realized that when it is evening, when it is dark, people bring out the lamps and light them. Same way children are born. Yes, they get life. They have a time limit, same as the lamp. Till the oil is there in the lamp, till the wick is burning, we have the small little flame over there, and it gives us light, it gives us happiness, it keeps us away from darkness. Same way, when a child is born, gets a new life, and that also gives a new life to the parents and the whole family. Yes, everybody takes care of him. The child is the joy for them. Yes, all his naughtiness is absorbed by the family, even the neighbors also. Yes, the child is naughty. Okay, children are naughty, right? So, what he brings is happiness everywhere, light everywhere, and the child grows up. Yes, then he becomes aged, and then at one day, the child who was man now dies. Same way, just the lights flickering, and then extinguishes. So now she understands that. She considered the fate of the men. That is, men here, people. That their lives flicker. They're as if it's going to exhaust. When the old age comes, right? When death comes, light inside the soul is flickering, right? Yes, every now and then we feel as if the sick person or the aged person is going to die. He still lives one day more, coughing, whatever, but still lives one more day. Again, next day we think the condition is serious. He might not live today. Again, he'll. So that way, the light keeps on flickering. But one fine day, the sick man, the old man, is cannot bear anymore, and he dies. So extinguished again. And she thought to herself, how selfish am I in my grief? I am very selfish in my grief. Grief, sorrow, sadness. I am so much selfish in my sadness that I'm not able to understand that my son was alive. We both were happy, but then my son had a small life, a very short life, and he lived that life, and now he's dead. But I am so selfish that I want that happiness back, and I want to see him again, even when he's dead. Right? I'm being very selfish. Death is common to all. A very good sentence is written over here. That is actually the part of the sermon. Death is common to all. Is anything living? It's not about human being. Whichever thing has taken birth has to die. Right? And many times it applies to the non-living things also. Is outside our earth also. The sun has taken birth. Yes, and now science has proved that it has taken birth, it has to die. And the sun, many of the suns, they died, right? So, death is common to all and to everything. Yet in this valley of desolation, there is path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. The lines from here to here, please mark in your material also. These are very, very important lines and they should be there in your answers and it should be explained properly, right? Yet in this valley of desolation, desolation where everything is dead, whatever lives has to die, dissolute, right? So, in this valley of desolation, there is a path that leads him to immortality. We are all mortals, we can die. That is why we are mortals. So, this place is dissolute, right? Everything seems to be dead over here. But there is a path in this dead land. A person can become immortal. Yes, aren't people immortal? Yes, people are immortal. Their names are immortal. Their names are legends. People remember them even after hundreds and thousands of years, right? Even in our family, we have numerous people who are not with us. We miss them. In our hearts, they are alive. In our hearts, they are immortal. We love them so much that we cannot do without them, and we still remember them. We properly remember the birthdays, we properly remember the day on which they died, and it is some sort of celebration we do because we know that soul is happy over there somewhere in heaven looking upon us. Yes, so whether it is their birthday or whether it is their death day, we remember them and we remember the complete path shown by that person who is no more with us, the happiness that he had shown, right? So there is a path that leads him to immortality who has surrendered all selfishness. When a person dies, he doesn't take along with him any of his riches, he just takes his name with him, he just takes the deeds that he has done in this world, and that makes him immortal, right? So who has surrendered all selfishness. Yes, when a person dies, he surrenders all his selfishness. Sometimes when the person is alive, even at that time, he surrenders all his selfishness and does lots of things for the better of the humanity, for the better of the world, for the better of the people around him, and that satisfies him and makes him immortal. The Buddha said, now Buddha says, teachings and preachings in his sermon, in his own words. What does he say? The life of mortal in this world is troubled. We are all troubled people. Yes, अभी आपको लेक्चर देखना है उसका टेंशन है, लेक्चर के बाद होमवर्क करना है टेंशन है, दूसरे दिन WRT है टेंशन है, सिलेबस खत्म हो रहा है, बड़ी टेस्ट आएगी उसका टेंशन है. वी आर ट्रबल्ड पीपल. एट द सेम टाइम वी आर ऑल्सो ट्रबल्ड, राइट? लेक्चर बनाना है, लेक्चर देना है, होमवर्क देना है, WRT देने है, आगे का प्लानिंग है. सो वी आर ऑल ट्रबल्ड पीपल. लुक एट योर फादर, योर मदर, राइट? डेली का टेंशन है और शाम तक होते होते एग्जॉस्ट हो जाते हैं, राइट? सो वी मॉर्टल्स, the life of mortals in this world is troubled and brief. Now, what do we understand by brief? Short. Yes, compared to the universe, we just live, say, what, 100 years? Right? 100 years compared to the million years of the age of the earth. Fraction. Fraction ka bhi fraction. Right? So it's brief. Right? And everybody doesn't live that 100 years. Some live less than that. Some even live less than that. So our continuity or a tenure on this earth is quite brief, and combined with pain in that short brief period, we enjoy also and we feel pain also, right? We are happy at the same time, we are sorrowful also, sad also. So lots of events come by and we keep on feeling that feelings and emotions and all that. For there is not any means by which those that have been born can avoid dying. In another way, whatever has taken birth has to die. put in some good words by Lord Buddha. For there is not any means, that means there is no way, there is no method, there is no correct path with which we can become immortal. Because we have taken birth, we have to die. We're born, cannot avoid dying. After reaching old age, there is death. Even if we all have our own lifespans, life cycles. Yes, we have seen, we have heard lots of children dying. Yes, lots of young men dying, even before they reach the age of 20. Some die before 30. Some live for 50. Some live for 60, 70. But at one point in time, old age comes, and that life cycle ends. It's not only for us. It same thing happens with animals, same thing happens with birds, same thing happens with vegetation. The grass that we see when the rain falls withers when the sun is again shining in summer. All the living things have a cycle. So, after reaching old age, there is death. Of such a nature are living beings. We have that same nature. When the age comes, we are supposed to die. That is our nature. As ripe fruits are early in danger of falling, so mortals when born are always in danger of death. Ripe fruit. Now, when the fruit is growing, yes, on a plant, say mango tree is on a mango tree, mango is growing. First there are flowers. Flowers will turn into fruit, a small one. Then the size of the fruit will keep on enlarging, and there is always problem when it is growing. There will be insects, there will be birds, there will be small animals like squirrel and lots of other things, right, which want to eat away, and they will fall on it, they will cut it, they will take it away. So there is always a chance when we are growing up, when we are still not fully grown, even before the fruit is ripe, it starts getting eaten away by animals, birds and insects, and sometimes us also, right? So what happens when the fruit is ripe? When the fruit is ripe, it is always in danger that because of the weight of the ripe fruit. And when the fruit is ripe, the tree automatically doesn't give it more nutrition. Yes, it cannot be further ripened. So the tree stops giving nutrition to that uh, fruit, and rest of the work is done by the sun, the heat, and it ripens the fruit, and the fruit automatically becomes heavy and drops to the ground, right? So the ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. So same way, when we are living our life, at each and every moment, at each and every hour, as the day passes, we are always in danger. Yes, kabhi accident hoga, kabhi kahin gir gaye. That is all danger. Yes, some of these dangers are so fatal that it turns into, that accident turns into casualty and the person is dead. So ripe fruits are early in danger of falling. So mortals when born are always in danger of death. So as soon as it is birth, that is the journey towards death. We have learned that thing earlier also somewhere, right? And we know these things in poetry. One of the poems we have learned. Yes, as soon as a child is born, as soon as a tree is born from the seed, it starts its journey towards death. That is a bare fact that we should understand. So mortals are always born in danger of death, as all earthen vessels made by the potter end in being broken. Another example, very good example is given to us. Yes, we buy a pot, yes, for storing water, yes, that is freshly made by the potter, the earth vessel or the clay vessel that we have for storing water, right? We use it for a long time, and then what happens? One day it breaks, right? So vessels made by potter end in being broken. So is life of mortals. Same way mortals, when the lifespan is over, when the life cycle is over, they die. Both young and adult, both those who are fools and those who are wise. Now, death does not consider the intellectuality of a person. Whether that person is a fool, whether he's a madman, whether he's a wise person, he's the most learned person, he's the most highly respected person in the world. Death is same for all. And death does not consider age. A young man also dies, and an old man also dies. A child also dies, and a middle-aged person also dies. So in that way, Age is not considered where death is. Name is not considered where death is. Prosperity is not to be considered. Everybody is equal in front of death. All fall into the power of death. Death is powerful. You cannot avoid it. Yes, even if you have all the strength in the world, then also the power of death empowers you and powers over you and die. All are subject to that. Subject to that, all the aim is all are subject to that means all have to die. Of those who overcome by death depart from life. A father cannot save his son, nor kinsmen the relations. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, will do now. Okay. Of those who overcome by death. Overcome by death means death has come over them. That means they are dead. Depart from life. Now when they are dead, the soul leaves, that is the belief, right? The soul leaves the body of the person and the depart from life. That means now soul is the life, right? The soul goes away from the body is dead. A father, it should be opposite. Yes, the son should be performing the last rites of the father, but sometimes opposite thing happens. Father is crying because the son is dead, nor kinsmen their relationship. Yes, we cannot save our relation. Even the rich, the most powerful, right? The the king, the people who are in power, they cannot save their relations. Yes, just because she is wife of a king or wife of a wealthy person or relation to a wealthy person, death does not see it, and death plays equal role for everybody. Mark, while relatives are looking on and lamenting deeply, one by one mortals are carried off. Relatives, they lament, they keep on abusing that he was such a good man, now death has taken. They abuse whom? Death. Can they do anything to that? So they just stand by. Relatives, they just stand by and keep on lamenting. No, this person should have lived another 50 years. Yes, he was still strong and he could have lived one more year, say one more month with us, we would all be happy. They keep on lamenting death. They keep on insulting death. Yet, death comes and takes away the soul from the person. One by one, mortals are carried away. Yes, they die and they are carried away for the last ride. Somebody, according to their own religion, they are burnt on the fire. Yes, and some, in some religion, they are buried in the ground. Whichever way of disposing the body of the dead one, right? But the thing is, right in front of everyone, the dead people are taken away. Like an ox that is led to the slaughter. When when you take an ox to the field to work, to make him work in the field, it knows. When you take him, say, suppose he's just yelling and shouting over there and upset over something, you just take that ox out for a walk, right? You feed him water, you give him some food, right? So the ox understands. But the moment he is old, he is taken to the slaughterhouse, you're dragging him. The ox, even though it's an animal, it knows you are taking him to kill it, and you literally have to drag him, right? So, like an ox that is led to the slaughter to be killed. So, the world is afflicted with death and decay. Afflicted, pained, yes, caused. The earth is full of death and decay. Therefore, the wise do not grieve, knowing the terms of the world. The wise people, they shed a tear or two. Yes, they shed a tear or two, knowing some near and dear has passed away and is no more. Yes, but they do not fight, they do not grieve, they do not go into too much sorrow or sad. They are wise people. When does wiseness come? At the age when the people become old, they become more wise because of the years of experience that they have. Now, then they are old, they know today is was his turn, tomorrow it's going to be my turn. So he doesn't grieve. So therefore the wise do not grieve, because they know the terms of life, that if I am born, I have to die one day, not today, not tomorrow, not tomorrow, day after tomorrow. One day it's going to be my turn. So they don't grieve, and they don't get afraid. They don't start running here and there trying to seek shelter from death. One day it's going to come. So they don't grieve, knowing the terms of the world. Not from weeping, not from grieving will anybody obtain peace of mind. Yes, just by weeping over somebody who has died, or by grieving full with sorrow, it's not going to give you peace of mind. On the contrary, opposite to that, if you keep on weeping, if you keep on grieving, that sorrow will never go away from you, and it will keep on decaying the inside of you. His pain will be greater and his body will suffer. Yes, you keep on crying, you keep on grieving. Yes, whole of the time that same thing is on the mind. What will happen? It will eat you away from the inside. You will become hollow. Yes, and it's not going to be good for your health. And your body is going to suffer. He will make himself sick and pale. Yes, he will give up food, not take much food. Yes, reject any milk or tea or water. Right? Because he is in great pain. The body doesn't want it. The mind doesn't want it. It's not that he's pretending or she's pretending. Yes, he's just not in a mood. He's so much in sadness that it doesn't want to eat and drink. So what happens is the body becomes sick and pale. Yet the dead are not saved by his lamentation. Yes, by his pain. The dead will not come back, whatever you do. So the pain will be there, the suffering will be there, the suffering of that separation from that near and dear one, that is always going to be there. But at one point in time, we have to give up that suffering, we have to give up that pain, we have to keep on living in this world, right? And living in this world, you need happiness, because you also have a limited time. Yes, lamenting is not going to improve your time. Quality living is not going to happen. At one point in time, that sadness, sorrowness should be left, and we should again go ahead with our life in this world. He who seeks peace should draw out arrow of lamentation and complaint and grief. If you want to have peace of mind, you got to take out that arrow of grief and sorrow from your heart. Lamentation, complaints, and grief. He who has drawn out the arrow and has become composed, calm. Yes, when do we become calm? When there is no grief, there is no complaint in our heart, we become calm. So the person who is able to take out that arrow of grief and sorrow from his heart is composed, will obtain peace of mind. When you are calm, then you will again get your mind back. Yes, then you remember, yes, I got studies to do. Yes, I got my job to do. Yes, my family is dependent on me. I got to survive for them. And I got to do all the things for them in the world. All these things come to mind when you come out of that pain. He who has overcome all sorrow become free from sorrow and will be blessed. Those who come out of sorrow, they will become free of that sorrow, and then you will be blessed. Blessed, you will be composed, you will have peace of mind. With this, we complete this chapter. We still have a poem to do in this lecture, so I'll be continuing with the poem. So students, we have just learned chapter number 10 from First Flight, the sermon at Banaras. Now we are going to learn poem number 8, The Trees. So let us begin with the poem. First Flight, that is the main book of our syllabus. Poem number 8, name of the poem is The Trees, and it is written by Adrian Rich. Adrian Rich, a poetess born in 1929 and died recently in 2012, was an American poet, essayist, and she was a feminist. Now, American poet, we understand, born and brought up in America, lived her life happily in America. She was a very good poet, and she was also an essayist, used to write competent essays, right? And she was a feminist, yes, feminist is a person who is inclined towards giving proper rights to the females and looking after the welfare of the females. She was awarded by Shelley Memorial Award from the Poetry Society of America. That is quite a high and prestigious award to get. So we must note over here that she was a special poetess who was quite noteworthy, quite famous, and has written some good poetry. The reflection of that poetry can be seen in this poem. We start with the poem. Poem number 8. The name of the poet is Adrian Rich, and the name of the poem is The Trees. Students, to remember over here is Adrian Rich is considered for the vision that she has, the image that she has in her poems, and the way imagination is used in the different poems written by her. It is quite praiseworthy, and in each and every different poems we see a variety of imagination over here. So here also imagination is quite used over here. Yes, the fonts might be quite small for you to see on the screen, but you have your material with you, so not an issue. Right after we finish understanding the poem, we are going to also mark the figures of speech, so be ready with your writing material. The first line, the tree inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days. The first two lines, they are very special, right? The forest we made empty, it was a forest, so now you go into the forest, only few trees are there. We have cut down the trees, right? So the forest is empty. So other trees which are outside the forest, which are in the city areas, which are growing somewhere near the basketball court, which are growing somewhere in the schoolyard, which in the industrial area, yes, in the parks, there are a lot many trees that are outside the perimeter of the jungle or the forest. When they see that the forest is growing thin, people are cutting down the trees, they start moving. Isn't that a fascinating imagination used by the poet over here? Yes, the trees inside are moving into, they were outside. So the trees inside, that means inside our courtyard, inside our houses, that is compounds, parks, gardens, yes, the trees which are inside the city are moving outside, that is into the forest. The forest that was empty, it was empty, we made it empty, we cut down the trees. Where no bird could sit or insect hide. Why are the trees going over there? Because without trees, where will the insects go? Where will the insects live? Where will the small animals? Because small animals like squirrels, etc., they make holes in the, they live in the holes that are in the trees. They live in the trees. The birds, they need trees to rest in the night. The trees are not there. Very few trees are there, and these birds and insects and animals, they are having a hard time finding their food, finding their rest places, finding a place to live. And that is why, having pity on them, the trees that are outside the forest, they are moving towards the forest. Whole of the poem is about this also. Very beautiful poem. Where no bird can sit. Now there is not a few trees are there. So the trees, they are already congested with the birds and animals and insects over there. So there is no place where a bird can sit. No insect can hide, because now the places are empty. All the trees are gone, right? The forest just has few trees over there, and that is not sufficient. So to help out the living creatures that were living in the forest, the trees that are outside are rushing in. No sun bury its feet in shadow. If you walk in the forest, you cannot see your shadow because the sun is blocked by the trees. No sun bury its feet in shadow. Right? The sun is now gazing directly on the soil of the forest because there are no trees to stop it from touching the ground. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. Yes, the trees that are outside, they have started moving, and in one night they will cross the limits of that city, village, whatever, and all of them will transfer to the forest. So by the time it's morning, all the trees that are outside will fill up the forest, and the forest will become lively again. All night, the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. All of the line to be taken as one. Yes, the tree is growing just near your house, but the roots are going straight below your house. Yes, so in order to walk, the trees need those roots as their feet, their legs. So they are pulling their legs out from below your veranda. Veranda is just sheltered roof that we have outside our main door where we put an armchair and sit in the evening. That's the veranda. Now the root goes below that veranda, so it's pulling and it's going to break your veranda. It's going to break one of your wall under which the root has stuck. So the trees are pulling their legs. That means they're pulling their roots out of the ground so that they can put it on the ground and walk. How can they move? Right? Without, they have to fully take out themselves along with the roots. So wherever deep inside the roots are, they're going to take it out. So all night, the roots are working, pulling themselves back to disengage themselves from the cracks. They have gone, wherever crack is available, they have gone over there in search of water. They are pulling themselves back from there, and they got to stand firmly on the ground, not below the ground, on the ground, and help the tree walk to the jungle. The leaves strain towards the glass, small twigs stiff with exertion. Yes, in order to pull one of your leg, now you just imagine yourself, your one of your leg has stuck somewhere. Yes, you want to bend somewhere, you need to take support. So the tree is also exactly doing that same thing. The leaves strain towards the glass. The tree has bent itself and the leaves are touching the glass of your window. And they're straining. Straining means putting pressure on the glass because they need the support of the house, the support of your window, so that it can pull the roots. Small twigs stiff with exertion. Even the smallest of the twig is helping the tree. It has become stiff so that it can give all the power the tree needs to pull off the root. Long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof. Yes, lots of places you might have seen trees are growing very near to the bungalow wall, right? It looks as if the branch, because the branch is extending. Every time it extends, it's going to put a danger to your house. So what you do is cut the branch. Now that bough which was there, right, is exerting pressure on the wall. The long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic door. A very good example is given to you. A person who has been very, very sick and has been admitted to the hospital is because he is sick, he cannot eat food, cannot drink water or juice, and fed only with medicines and liquids sometimes. Yes, he doesn't have that much strength in his body, and because now he is out of the disease, the hospital cannot keep him, so he is discharged. But just see the way he's walking. He has to pull all his strength to walk, to put 1 feet ahead of the other. Yes, he has to take support of lots of beds that are over there. He has to take support of his relative, two relatives on either side, father, mother, or maybe grandfather, grandmother, or maybe sons and daughters. Yes, they support him. And just look how awkwardly he is moving out of the hospital door or the clinic door. In that same way, the tree is moving, taking support everywhere. So it's pulling its leg from here. Okay, this one pulled out. Now it has to pull out another root. So the tree's movements are like the patient who has long been in the hospital and discharged. He is wavering, moving, wavering, right? Newly discharged patient, half dazed. Yes, when you are sick and you suddenly stand up, whole of the world becomes dizzy. Right? You become dizzy and the whole world keeps on spinning around you. Same way, it looks, yes, you are all wobbly and you don't know the correct direction in which you stand, right? So in that way, the trees are also not sure. They are wobbly. They are just shuffling under the roof. They are trying to take a firm stand. Their roots come upon the earth so that the roots can work like legs and it can take the tree to the forest. I sit inside. Now I can't go outside. Yes, I'm sitting inside my house and I'm watching. What do I watch? Doors open to the veranda, writing long letters in which I scarcely mention the departure of the forest from the house. I sit inside. Doors open to the veranda. Yes, no, my bedroom door is opening to the veranda, or my living room is opening to the veranda. I'm writing long letters in which I don't mention. Yes, because it's happening over here, it's not happening everywhere, right? So I may look like a mad person. Can trees walk? Can trees pull out their roots and start walking towards the forest? No, somebody's going to consider me mad. So I'm writing long letter. I'm doing some writing work, but there I'm not mentioning anything about the trees moving and going towards the forest. I scarcely, hardly, that means no. I don't mention the departure of the forest from my, see the words used over here, departure of the forest. What is your forest? The little garden that you have in front of your house, that's your forest. That forest is moving, right? So, departure of the forest from my house. The night is fresh. The whole moon shines in a sky still open. Now, we are talking about night time because this is night when the trees are moving. So, the night is described over here. The night is fresh. That means nights are always fresh, right? The night is fresh. That means it has just begun. The whole moon is shining. That means it's full moon. Whole of the moon is shining. So there is enough light to see what's going on outside. In a sky still open. Now the sky is still open. That means it is a cloudless sky, and you can see the stars twinkling because moon is also clearly seen. There's lots of light. The stars are also twinkling. The smell of the leaves and lichen still reaches like a voice in the rooms. The trees have already started going, yes, but each and every tree has a different smell. Each and every leaf of particular trees, right? They give out a particular smell. Yes, you can see that a mango tree, you can smell the leaf, and a guava tree, you can smell the leaf. Yes, both will smell differently. So leaves, that smell of the leaves is still in my nostrils, but the trees have long gone away. My head is full of whispers which tomorrow will be silent. Right? The trees are moving, right? So they are whispering to each other, and those whispers are in my mind. But tomorrow, my mind will be clear, right? Which tomorrow will be silent, clear, silent, right? Because those whispers will be dead. Now, what are those whispers? The wind, the breeze blows, the leaves, they make noise. The branches, they move, they make noise. The tree creaks, that's the noise. All those, when I am in my room, it looks like whispers from outside, right? But tomorrow, there will be no whispers because there will be no tree. Listen, the glass is breaking. Some tree might have put more pressure on the window of the glass of the window, and the glass broke, right? So listen, the glass is breaking. The trees are stumbling forward. Okay, I can't do anything. A little bit more pressure by the tree. Just thoda zyada झुक गया तो glass टूट गया. Listen, because when the glass breaks, it's going to fall inside the house, right? In the room. So you'll hear the glass breaking, right? So listen, the glass is breaking, the trees are stumbling forward. That means all the legs are pulled out, all the roots are pulled out, and then you can just listen, the tree moving, stumbling forward, just like that patient into the night. Winds rush to meet them. Winds are happy. Yes, winds are happy to meet them. That means breeze is blowing and the ruffling of the leaves can be heard. And a very good metaphor is used over here. Is personification is used over the winds. It looks as if the winds are rushing to meet them. The moon is broken like a mirror, right? Why broken like a mirror? Because now you see a steady moon right in front of you, but now trees are obstructing now and then. So the moon looks like broken mirror in pieces, flashed now in the crown of the tallest oak. Yes, the tree is moving, and the tree is obstructing your view of the moon because the tree, it was somewhere else. Now it has come in front of the oak tree. It is between you and the moon. The oak tree is in between you. So earlier you can see the clear moon. Now that oak tree has come in between you, and from that boughs, from the branches, you can see the moon as if it has been broken into several pieces like a mirror, and flashes now and then in the crown of the tallest oak. What is crown? On the top of the tallest oak. Now, summary, it's quite small one, quite beautiful one. The tree is a natural nature poem written by Adrian Rich. Forest is the natural habitat of trees, birds, animals, insects. In the absence of trees in the forest, the whole of the ecological balance is disturbed, and the poet is trying to personify the nature in this poem by making the trees walk like human beings and go and shift towards the far. Man has confined nature within four walls. We have made that forest inside our own house. Man has uprooted trees and kept them in the modern artificial glass houses. We have glass houses where we grow trees, where we grow saplings, where we have a beautiful garden under a greenhouse. That is that artificial glass houses. But nature cannot be subdued, or it cannot be controlled for long. It cannot be kept by you for long. One day it's going to go away. The trees struggle to break the artificial glass barriers. They become free, breaking all the bondages, and move towards the natural habitat, that is the forest. Only they can grow in natural vastness, grandeur, dimensions, and that will add beauty to the nature. The poetess tries to convey that, like human beings, trees are always needing freedom. They can get their natural growth, and all these things are given in your material, and it doesn't need much of an explanation. Freedom when they are in the forest, but summary itself becomes a very important question in the exam. So be prepared with that. How's my human beings? This poem is rich with visual power that we have already discussed in the starting. Now let's do some of the figures of workspace. You must have your pencils ready to mark figures of speech in the poem. The trees inside, the first line, the trees inside are moving out in the, now the trees are moving, right? So it's a hyperbole, overstatement, right? Metaphor, moving out of the trees inside are moving out now, inside out. So antithesis is there. So two, the hyperbole is there, antithesis is there. Metaphor, it's walking like human beings, right? So metaphor is there. Applied simile, it's not that they are moving like birds and animals and human beings. They are moving. So metaphor is there. So three figures of speech in the first line: antithesis, metaphor, and hyperbole. The forest that was empty all these days, that's the next line. Hyperbole. A forest cannot be empty. Then it's not a forest. So it's an overstatement. Few trees are there. There are some trees. Most of the trees are cut. Then also it remains a forest. So it's an overstatement. Now, where no is given, no insect. So automatically litotes is there. Yes. And repetition is there. No word is repeated twice. So repetition is there. So in this line, litotes and repetition is there. No sun, again no is there, litot is going to be automatic. No sun buries its feet in shadow, that is an overstatement. So hyperbole is there. No, sun burying its feet, sun is there. Yes, millions and trillions of kilometers away. So hyperbole. No is there, litotes. Now what is personification? Sun is given the human quality of burying its feet. Yes, so personification is that. The sun is personified. Next, the forest that was empty all these nights. Forest cannot be empty. So automatically hyperbole is there. Not written, but we should understand. Right? The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. That is antithesis. Empty and full will be here. Yes, empty and full. Two opposite terms are there in the same sentence. So it is antithesis, alliteration will be there, consonant sound, please look at it. Now, all these three lines together, all night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor, right? So personification is there, as if the root is working like human being. So personification is there. Synecdoche, roots, part of the tree, so part of the whole, so synecdoche is there. The leaves strain towards the glass. Personification is there. No, synecdoche is there. Leaves. We'll just right. Straining work can be done by the trees. Yes, so not a problem. So it is not personification. Leaves, they are straining. Leaves part of the whole. So synecdoche. Small twigs stiffen with exertion. Again, twigs part of the tree, part of the whole. So synecdoche. Long crumpled boughs shuffling under the roof, like newly discharged patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic door, is first of all simile. Like. Like is there, so to make all these four lines together, right? You can make a curly bracket over here. Like. It's so like is there, comparison is being made. So it is a simple comparison. Yes, so simile. Synecdoche, boughs. Boughs, a part of the tree, so part of the whole. So synecdoche is there. Figures of speech in this particular poem, they're quite easy. I sit inside doors open to the whole of these things together, taken together. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines taken together. Then personification is there, right? Departure of the forest. Forest is departing, right? Uh, Property of human being. So personification is there. Alliteration, lots of places where consonant sound is repeated, so alliteration will be there. Please find out. Metonymy is there. How is metonymy there? Metonymy, an attribute is given. Yes, what is the attribute? I write long letters. Attribute is given. Letters, writing something, but letter means ABCD, those alphabets, right? So metonymy is there. He's saying he's writing long letters, but that letters actually means some writing work that is done, right? So metonymy is there. The night is fresh. The whole moon shines in a sky still open. These two lines should be taken together. Hyperbole is there, right? Night is fresh. Cannot be. Whole moon shines. It's natural. So it is an overstatement. Sky is still open. Can the sky be closed? No. So it's an overstatement. The smell of leaves in lichen still reaches like a voice. Like है तो simile पक्का होगा, right? So, in this line, only one. These two lines together. My head is full of whispers, which tomorrow will be silent. Antithesis is there. Yes, whisper is a sound. Silence means no sound. So, opposite terms are there. So, antithesis will be the hyperbole. This is an overstatement. Your head being clear and silent and all that. So, that is an overstatement. Synecdoche is there. Head, part of the whole. Alliteration is also there. WW repeating, whispers will. So, alliteration is there. Listen, the glass is breaking. The poetess is addressing to someone, but nobody is there. So apostrophe is there. Yes, it's being addressed when nobody is there. So listen, वो किसको बोल रहा है, right? The trees are stumbling forward into the night. Yes, stumbling. Who stumbles? We stumble. Yes, दीवार तो दिखाई नहीं देती, ना पत्थर दिखाई देता. We stumble. Here the tree is stumbling. So personification is there, and hyperbole is also there, right? Both the things in the same line. Trees are stumbling. That is an hyperbole, right? And personified is given the human qualities of stumbling. Winds rush to meet them. Now, winds don't rush to meet them, right? So that is already an overstatement, but winds are given the human quality of rushing and greeting. So personification is there. The moon is broken like a mirror. All these three lines together. Moon is broken. Moon doesn't break. In pieces like a mirror. Yeah? And pieces flesh in the crown on the top of the oak. Then also like must be there. Yes, here it is. Broken like. Like is there, then simile will be there, right? Like, as. So hyperbole. Whole of the thing is hyperbole. It's an overstatement. You can't believe it. Yes, the moon cannot break like a mirror into several pieces. Yes, and it cannot be the crown of the oak tree. Yes, both the things are separate. But because we visualize the tree, the moon on top of the tree, as if the moon is the crown of the oak tree. So we visualize it like that. So it's a hyperbole, overstatement. With this, we finish this poem also and plus this lecture. Thank you, students.